Coming live from our studios in Belize City, this is the evening news on Love Television for Wednesday, July 13. We'll get you started with a look at the stories making the headlines today. Government's technical and financial advisor responds to concerns over BTL arbitration award. Minister of Foreign Affairs provides details of agreement signed with Guyana. Misunderstanding leaves 2 men from San Pedro injured, and shooting incident leaves Belize City man hospitalized. The Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry shared its perspective on the BTL arbitration award yesterday. In its release, the BCCI questions the delay in reaching a settlement. Today, Love News sat down with government's technical and financial advisor John Mencius, who addressed some of the concerns that have been floating in the general public, such as how have Belizeans benefited from the nationalization of BTL. Mencius says the benefits can be seen in the value of shares.
The answer has to be given in terms of the value of BTL to Belizeans, because now BTL is in the hands of the government who represent the people of Belize. Prior to 2009, what we had in place was an accommodation agreement that, according to all estimates, was giving the then share owners of BTL somewhere in the region of $3 to $3.50 per share in value over and above what they should have gotten. That was the essence of the accommodation agreement, because the tribunal ruled that the value of the accommodation agreement for the former share owners was $3.38. So what they're basically saying is that as a result of that accommodation agreement, you got this value that you would not have otherwise gotten. That worked out to $270 million in today's money. And so that is what the government was trying to pull back for Belizeans. As I explained earlier on the show this morning, that came in the form of no import duties to BTL, blocking of VoIP, decreased regulation, and ensuring that they had a minimum rate of return. So to repeat, the purpose of the nationalization was to negate the effect of the accommodation agreement, which basically moved value from the people of Belize, either as customers or the government, to the share owners.
We asked Mencius to explain the reason for the delay in arriving at a settlement. He spoke on the amount saved that will be invested in Belize because of the negotiations.
Let us say that the government had agreed to pay the former share owners what they were asking for in 2009. They would have paid them $460 million then. That's one aspect to it. Based on the panel's ruling, they will pay with interest right now $446 million. Now, of that $446 million, $270 million is to be used for projects for the benefit of the people of Belize. So in effect then, the actual cost is $176 million. Compare that now to what I'm saying they would have paid $462 million back then. Now, there's this argument, as we have heard, that, okay, if you would have paid it back then, you would have been able to stop or to not pay interest on the amount. That is not true. How would the government have paid the $460 million? It would have had to borrow. The government doesn't have that amount of money. It would have had to issue treasury notes or something of the like. And we have calculated that if it had done so, that would have added another $270 million. Looking at it as if we were paying in 2016, which would have brought the bill up to $734 million. So you're comparing $734 million with $446 million. Even if some people want to argue that, yes, but they would have negotiated the number down. Good. the share owners were claiming that of that $10.23, $3.10 was due to the accommodation agreement. So let's take out that $3.10. You're still at $7.13. When you look at that again in terms of $2016, assuming that you finance it with Treasury notes at 7%, it would have come up to $512 million, which is still more than $446 million. And as I've told you, they would have had to pay that 512 would have gone to the share owners. This 446, 270 million of it is coming back to the people of Belize for projects, or to be used on projects for the benefit of the people of Belize.
In the newscast for July 12, we brought back the issue of correspondent banking, and we spoke with Foreign Affairs Minister Wilfred Elrington, who recently returned from a CARICOM session in Guyana, where the matter formed a part of the meeting's agenda. Minister Elrington has conceded that not much progress has been made in getting the U.S. banks to restore relations with Belize or with the banks in the Caribbean. Reuters News Agency also highlighted the current challenges being faced by Belizeans living here and abroad when it comes to sending money via wire transfers or other forms. A very extensive article was also published by the Fiscal Times with a keen look at the business sector of Belize and how transactions are being conducted subsequent to the de-risking movement. The entire movement began unfolding in 2008 with a financial crisis that brought to light many financial indiscretions in the banking sector, and with that came the attack on financial fraud. That attack saw banks being fined for being used by Mexican cartels for the facilitation of money laundering, with no due diligence being done. HSBC, a British-based multinational bank, was fined $2 billion for being used by cartels to launder drug money. Meanwhile, BNP Paribas, a French multinational bank, was fined $9 billion in 2014 in order to resolve accusations that it had violated U.S. sanctions against Sudan, Cuba, and Iran. The fines are steep, and with that the banks began withdrawing their relations with other banks, particularly in the Caribbean. Tonight we continue with the publication by the Fiscal Times in which several Belizean businessmen were interviewed. The article quoted Lin Young, Chief Executive Officer for the Canadian-owned Belize Electric Company Limited, as saying that quite a few of their suppliers are kind of freaking out as the company has not been able to make large payments to vendors abroad since February. Meanwhile, the managing director for Benny's Home Center, Brett Feinstein, was noted as saying that he has been forced to turn away new lines of revenue. He says one customer wanted Benny's to import an excavator valued at $150,000, but he declined, saying, and we quote, "If I divert the US dollars to that business, it might affect my day-to-day bread and butter business," end of quote. Belize, among other Caribbean nations, is on the U.S. State Department's 2016 list of countries that present a primary concern when it comes to money laundering. This, coupled with the Panama Papers, in which more than 100 offshore companies in Belize were named in those documents, there has been a renewed focus on the Caribbean region when it comes to attacking financial indiscretions. According to a World Bank survey done in 2015, the Caribbean appears to be the worst hit of all the regions, since the profits we offer are on a very small scale compared to the possible fines that the US and European banks could face. The Fiscal Times quoted Belize's central bank governor, Glenford Izagirre, as saying, and we quote him, "We were told by one large bank that if your bank does not have about $2 billion in assets, it is not feasible for us to do business with you." Interestingly, the International Monetary Fund reported that Belize's entire financial system has assets amounting to less than $3 billion. Former president of the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Arturo Vasquez, was also contacted, and as it relates to the local financial system and the country's due diligence, Vasquez reportedly stated, and we quote, "Uncle Sam wants Belize to make a big arrest, and we have not been able to do that," end of quote. With Belize being unable to do that, the State Department has concluded that the Belize government, quote, "continues to encourage offshore financial activities that are vulnerable to money laundering and terrorist financing," end of quote. But the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, a regional body focused on money laundering and terrorist finance, has noted in 2015 that Belize is making significant progress in addressing the problems in its anti-money laundering regulations, citing evidence of Belize's commitment to deal with the deficiencies. Belize Bank was the first to be hit on November 20, 2014, when they received a two-page letter ending its 35-year relationship with the Bank of America. The bank had originally given Belize Bank until January 2015 before the account would be closed, but agreed to an extension until the end of April. Shortly after, Bank of America dropped two other Belizean banks. Citibank ended its relationship with Belize's central bank in June 2016, although the central bank still has correspondent relationships with other U.S. banks. A recent IMF report had indicated that across 5 Caribbean countries, at least 16 banks had lost all or some of their correspondent banking relationships as at May. Meanwhile, Moody's rating service made a prediction in February 2016 that by the middle of the year, Belize's banking system was likely to lose correspondent and credit card settlement services. Moody also warned that Belize could face significant disruptions to tourism, trade and foreign investment after losing its banking links. About 60% of tourist spending in Belize involves credit card transactions settled by correspondent banks. As we have told you, the Caribbean Community member states have come together to try to have some normalcy restored to the banking sector, whilst looking at the idea of banding together to establish a commercial bank in the United States that would serve their diaspora and provide correspondent banking in the region. Also will be steps that the banks began withdrawing their relations with other banks, particularly in the Caribbean. Tonight we continued with the publication by the Fiscal Times. For months now, we have been hearing the foreign affairs officials speak of amending the Referendum Act, and we have heard of the plans to hold a referendum. The money spent, however, on travel and accommodations for meetings between Belize and Guatemala are undoubtedly in the hundreds of thousands. Yet when you look at it, there is not much Belize can do until Guatemala's Congress ratifies the matter of a referendum in their country. In speaking with Foreign Affairs Minister Wilfred Elrington yesterday, we asked him if there is any concern on the part of our government with the monies being spent on this issue and the perception that Guatemala is not making a move to take the matter forward. Here is his response.
It's not my understanding they are not moving towards it. As a matter of fact, I am told that the matter is before the Congress, but they have a heavy agenda, and they hope to get to it before too long. And then they will be ratifying the amended protocol, which we entered into. So it is a work in progress. We ourselves will be amending our Referendum Act, and that as well is a work in progress. It takes a little time to get these things done, you know, but the important thing is that we have to try to resolve the matter as quickly as possible. And for those of you who have been keeping your eyes on the international situation, only today the Philippines had taken China to the Arbitral Court of the United Nations over the activities of the Chinese in the South China Sea. Same kind of territorial issues, same kind of maritime issues that we have. And I'm told that the result came out favorable in favor of Philippines. Philippines did it unilaterally. The Chinese didn't want to go to the court, arbitral tribunal, but in fact the Philippines went themselves. We ourselves need to do all that we have to do. I don't think we need to worry too much about Guatemala. In my view, it cannot be said that we are not doing all that we need to do to make sure we bring the matter as quickly as possible to the ICJ. It is really in our interest, our national interest, that in fact this matter is squarely before the ICJ, so that nobody can accuse us of not doing all in our power to take it before this highest legal tribunal.
In an interview conducted with Prime Minister Dean Barrow in March this year, he spoke on the issue of the referendum. Here is how that went.
We are always repeating that in our view, in the official view of the government, that really is the only way to solve this issue once and for all. But it does take two to tango, and we have not yet gone to a referendum because the Guatemalans seem to be having great difficulty in terms of their own internal politics in setting the stage for them to go to referendum. I don't know that what has happened will in any way change things in Guatemala. For us, the key is to try to come up with a way forward with respect to the SARS 2. That's priority one, that's job one. In the larger context, we in Belize continue to be interested in going to referendum as soon as is practicable. But I repeat, I don't see us going without the Guatemalans also being prepared to go. There has been provision now for us to be able to go separately. Speaking for myself, I don't see Belize going until Guatemala has gone. It's either we go together or they need to go first. So we continue to work at it, but so much depends on them.
Prime Minister Barrow has noted that the Referendum Act will be amended despite the opposition from some sectors. On July 7th, we told you of an agreement that Belize's Foreign Minister Wilfred Ellington signed onto with Guyana as it relates to trade and commercial cooperation. While the government release on the signing didn't get into any details of the document, a Caribbean publication did note in its article that the agreement does not indicate quotas or limitation on the products that can be imported into Belize or exported to Guyana. That did send off an alarm. As you may recall, there was some controversy arising over the importation of Guyanese rice, which would sell in Belize cheaper than the locally produced grain. When Love News caught up with Minister Ellington yesterday, we asked him to explain the agreement.
Concept behind the integration movement, is to be able to allow products in the Caribbean region to be able to travel as freely among the countries of the region as we move products in Belize. For example, we can sell any amount of sugar any part of Belize, PG, Orange Walk, Corozal, wherever. And that is the same concept that you have in CARICOM, so that it should be possible for the Guyanese to sell their products in any part of Belize or any part of the Caribbean. But you can't sell products unless people want to buy it. And if you have your own local products, people tend to be nationalistic and want to buy their own, so I can't see any need for us to want to buy rice from Guyana, except we have some kind of a scarcity. But I don't think there's any provision to limit or prevent people from doing so. If you want to do it, you have to go through certain procedures. But apart from that, I don't think there's any limitation as far as I can recall.
The signing of the agreement took place on July 6, 2016 in Georgetown, Guyana. Signing on behalf of the government of Belize was Minister of Foreign Affairs Wilfred Ellington, and for the Cooperative Republic of Guyana it was Vice President Carl B. Greenidge. When the announcement came from the government of Belize regarding the construction of the forward operating base, the intentions expressed were to have both Belize Defense Force and Belize Coast Guard personnel manning the fort. It has been some months now since the base was officially opened, and according to a source from within the Ministry of National Security, there seems to be some reluctance in having the Coast Guard at the Sarstoon. We can only surmise that it is due to the commander's no-tolerance approach to the incursions happening at the Sarstoon, but according to the Chief Executive Officer, retired Colonel George Lovell, that is not the case. Here is how he explained the absence of the Belize Coast Guard.
My understanding is that the Coast Guard needs to have a team that can operate as a team at that location. I am currently working with the Commander of Belize Defense Force to see how we can accommodate that. They had initially 2 people placed out there, but they cannot operate with 2 people. That is the Coast Guard. They cannot operate with 2 people. And certainly it is the Ministry of National Security's intention for us to have a joint base as we had intended for it to be in the first instance. Coast Guard were out there for a very short time, but they cannot operate with just 2 people. They need to have the right complement for them to be effective in carrying out their mandate. As you know, the military and the Coast Guard, they will have 2 separate mandates while they are out there. The Coast Guard will enforce all those fisheries regulations and everything else that are not off the forward operating base, while the military will be looking after what occurs along the Sarstoon. And so there are 2 separate mandates. What we need to do is look at how we can have the numbers apportioned in such a way that both of them can carry out their mandate effectively.
A man was reportedly attacked in his yard in the DFC area of San Pedro Ambergris Key. An exchange of words ended in 2 persons being injured. 30-year-old Dwayne Hyde was shot to the abdomen, and 23-year-old Louis Carter was stabbed to the neck, mouth, and abdomen. Love News spoke with Deputy of the Coastal Executive Unit, Assistant Superintendent Henry Jamot.
Police responded where they found a scene with what appeared to be bloodstain on the ground in a yard. Police then proceeded to the San Pedro Polyclinic, where they saw one Dwayne Hyde suffering from gunshot wound to the lower abdomen. At the time, he related to police that he was at his residence along with his command-in-law when 2 male persons approached his yard, one of which approached him with a firearm. Upon seeing the firearm, he pulled a screwdriver and made attempts to defend himself. In that process, he injured the male person in the neck, on the mouth, and in the abdomen. Whilst in the struggle, shots rang out where Mr. Dwayne Hyde received the said injuries to the abdomen. He was then escorted by a person to the polyclinic, and then after being stabilized, transported to Belize Street, where he is at the KHMA at this present time.
ASP Jamot says they were able to make an arrest due to the description that Hyde gave of his attacker.
Police, with the information, has went out and conducted their investigation into the matter, where we have detained 2 persons. We have detained one, Louis Carter, who has injuries to the neck, to the mouth, and to the lower abdomen, which is consistent with the injuries explained by Mr. Hyde of his attacker.
Hyde is in a stable condition at the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital, while Carter is receiving treatment at the San Pedro Polyclinic under police guard. 19-year-old Devon Guzman has been charged for keeping a firearm and ammunition without a gun license. Police say about 5:25 yesterday evening, they responded to reports of shots fired in the Lake View Street area. They observed a male person riding a bicycle on Sarstoon Street with what appeared to be a firearm in his hand. After seeing the police, he reportedly threw the object in an empty lot. He was detained and taken to where the object was thrown, and police discovered a .38 revolver with black electrical tape on the handle, loaded with 1 live .38 round and 3 expended .38 casings. As a result, Guzman was arrested and charged. Today, Guzman appeared before Senior Magistrate Sharon Fraser and pled not guilty to the charges. He was remanded into custody until September 13. Last Thursday, 22-year-old Michael Lopez was shot and killed near his home in the St. Martin's de Porres area. Minutes after the incident, members of the gang suppression unit caught 2 of the suspected gunmen on a motorcycle speeding off. When they were intercepted, police found blood on their clothes. Senior Superintendent Alden Dawson, Deputy Officer in Command of Eastern Division South, told us why the suspects have been released.
Sir Williams said, I think earlier to the media, that the evidence that we have collected have been sent to lab internationally, and we are awaiting the response from those people to move forward.
Sir, have these persons been released?
Yes, they were interviewed and released.
Have they given anything to cooperate with police in trying to explain what happened there?
No, they didn't cooperate with us along that angle.
Police believe that Lopez's murder was in retaliation for the double murder of Karen Morrison and Kent Brooks. April 19 saw the beginning of increased hostilities between Belize and Guatemala when a young Guatemalan boy who was on Belizean soil illegally was shot and killed in the Chiquibul area. With that as the backdrop, Guatemalan President Jimmy Morales began a campaign to assert its rights over the unfounded claim for Belize, whilst threatening to send in more troops to the borders. After weeks of dialogue and intervention by the Organization of American States, both Belize and Guatemala had requested for an independent investigation into the shooting incident. Yesterday, a letter was sent by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Carlos Raul Morales, to the Secretary General of the OAS, Luis Almagro, demanding the investigation into the death of 13-year-old Julio Rene Alvarado Ruano be expedited. With the conclusion of the investigation, Morales says they would then be able to demand that an arrest be made and that the shooter be brought to justice. The OAS commission tasked with the investigation is expected to arrive in the country this week. The commission is made up of a former agent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation and a chief forensic expert from the Mexican Federal Police. Love News understands that the Guatemalans are planning to use a point of contention that the boy was shot multiple times in the back, rendering him harmless. The BDF, however, has indicated that they were responding to gunfire aimed at them in the dark. During the recently concluded CARICOM Heads of Government meeting, Belize's Foreign Minister Wilfred Elrington delivered an address regarding the border dispute brought on by Guatemala against Belize. He made several points regarding the support of the citizenry as the government seeks a resolution. The news in Guyana quoted him as saying that the local media must make sure that each citizen understands the importance of the issue, while stressing that the support of the citizenry is critical since border disputes can become an existential issue. He added that the responsibility of the media is tremendous in both Belize and Guyana, responsibility that is to be taken seriously with only the presentation of facts. Minister Elrington's address regarding the media's role in the border dispute comes as no surprise, as he has faulted the media in Belize in several instances for their news reports, particularly on the Belize-Guatemala situation. One person escaped injuries this morning as a vehicle plunged off Front Street into the sea off the coastline in Punta Gorda.
Many spectators at the scene commented that it was luck that the small cargo truck did not overturn as it plunged off Front Street some 15 feet downwards over some boulders and stopped in an upright position in the sea. The driver of the vehicle, Enil Correa, spoke to Love News of the incident.
When I came, that was 4 o'clock in the morning, I parked, come out, and when I went to open the gate, I noticed that the vehicle moved. So I ran to try to stop it, but I couldn't. It was so late.
And was anybody on board the vehicle?
Yes, my wife was in there, and thanks God nothing happened.
The vehicle was partially loaded with fruits and vegetables sold at the Correa's business booth on Prince Street in the area of Punta Gorda Front Street Market section and a short distance away from the seaside junction of Front Street and Prince Street where the vehicle ran off into the sea. Reporting for Love News, Paul Mahong, Punta Gorda.
The works of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is not limited to only the Belize-Guatemala issue, although it has been a burning issue for some time now. Outside that, however, one of the undertakings by the ministry is to work on foster cooperation with Belizeans living abroad. We have told you of some Belizean Americans currently in country from the Diabetes Association of New York, USA, teaching and attending to diabetic patients. Arlette Gomez, the communications officer in the ministry, who explained to Love News on this aspect of the duties carried out by the ministry and how the diabetes team ended up in Belize.
Earlier I spoke about the Ministry of Foreign Affairs engaging with the Belizean diaspora. What we try to do is that we try to get our Belizean individuals, organizations, churches that are outside of Belize and get them to partner with us in areas where we think that it's most needed. We always say that you have many friends that gives you many donations, but the ones that are most important are those in education and healthcare. Those are the people who are your friends. So the Belize Diabetes Association of New York has become a very great friend and partner with Belize in these annual missions that they do. We really have to commend the organizers, the members of that association, Dr. Wells and his team, for coming out and offering these services to our Belizean people. The statistics shows that diabetes is the #1 killer of our Belizeans, and so we have to ensure that our people are well taken care of, they are having good health practices, food eating habits, they exercise regularly, and that is why this team is here. This team is here to ensure that our Belizean people are well tested and they're educated on what is happening with diabetes in Belize. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is partnering with them and has been partnering with the Belize Diabetes Association of New York for some years now, and we assist in the area of logistics and transportation and that kind of thing to ensure that their mission is carried out without much hitch or glitches.
Dr. Stephen Wells says his intentions for Belizeans suffering with diabetes go beyond this trip.
One of the things that I want to say is that we want to train one of the doctors here in Belize to be able to manage diabetes. Since I can't be here 365 days, if we can train a doctor here, he can manage the problems she can manage the problems in Belize. So we need a lot of support and help so that the Belizean government knows that we need to train doctors to take care of the Belizean people. I would love to do that, but I want to make sure that we have high quality doctors who can take care of Belize and Belizean people. So we need a lot of support, and so far we've gotten a lot of support from KHMH and the government. So if they would allow me, I want to make sure we have the best physicians and we also prevent Belizeans from losing their limbs and their life.
According to Gomez, this team comes on an annual basis and the ministry is looking to engage other groups abroad to come home and render time and service to fellow Belizeans.
We partner with other medical organizations that come in, but they are foreign organizations, and why this one is so unique to us is because it's all made up of Belizeans. The Belize Diabetes Association of New York, the membership are full Belizeans, and they come to Belize along with these healthcare practitioners at their own cost. They pay for everything for themselves, and they come here and give of their time, of their effort, of their expertise. And we hope to continue to do this with them every year. It is an annual mission, and we have to commend them because for the past couple of years, they've started to come 2 times for the year instead of 1. And so those are some of the things that we look forward to for the association to continue to come. And we're hoping that we can start to engage other organizations in other areas. It doesn't have to only be in medical care, education, health care, and all of that. Those are the things that we're looking for.
The team is in Orange Walk today and is moving on to Corozal on Friday. 49-year-old Alberto Ramos is an entrepreneur who makes handmade crafts and jewelry. He considers himself the president of the one-man organization helping other people everywhere, HOPE. He came to our studios today to tell us about his current situation. He was previously located near Scotiabank on the Philip Golson Highway when he was moved because of infrastructure work. He then started his business in Buttonwood Bay Park, where the Belize sign is located. He alleges that he was moved by City Council when a robbery occurred in the area. Now he says he's being given the runaround to find a new location.
I can't go and operate my business there No, I've gone to City Council, I'm a registered business person, I have a trade license, and I've gone to City Council, and City Council says, bigger head says, nobody can sell at that park. No problem, I know who are the bigger heads. Those are the same people I voted for. No, I came over to City Council, and City Council said, I took 1 month to get city planner. I got the city planner, I got all these people together to get me a peddler's license. One more time, the peddler's license is granted to Alberto Ramos. Yes, we have it on the table. One more thing missing, we need to call BTB to see what. Boom. I'm a member of the Handcraft Association from that era. I used to operate in that era. I operate no more because I hate to operate in an environment where there's a crab bucket situation. I have always identified that, and I moved away, and I have in my mind, and I always told my friends, if you're going to have something, let it be a market whereby we're going to pay rent, and if we pay rent, it's not going to be for 400 years, 20 years, whereby afterward it comes and belongs to us. But because I have those kinds of plans, nobody likes me. They say, oh, he's problem. So I'm problem because I want to bring real development to people, and I want a handcraft market, and I want the Belizeans to own it. I'm a big problem because of that.
Ramos says that his business has allowed him to hire 2 persons more, and now he cannot pay them since he does not have a stall to conduct business.
I still do year-round skills training program in my neighborhood, and it broke down right now because I know they make no money. I have 3 persons in my neighborhood where every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, these people look out for me for making 50 or 60 or 70. No, I don't have nothing to give them. You know how I feel? Huh? You know how I feel? Because I watch them, and I feel for them. Because there are people I do wrong every day for I smile, and I pray every day that we come out of poverty. That we say, they only bring GSU, one unit. I want to bring one different unit, one unit who are mobilized them to participate in the economic activities of this country. They not do it. I try my best to do it for my own. And what you think happen? I have my dream. So some of my dream. Look at some of my dream. Belize City Handcraft Market. See, Belize City Handcraft Market, local music, local food, local art, local people, cultural arts. They're not things where they're the things that they're on the bed now, they lay down like something sick.
We got in contact with the Belize City Council, and we were told by one of the city planners that they never promised to give back Ramos a stall. Police conducted their weekly meet and greet sessions on Lacroix Boulevard today. This area in the Lake Independence Division has recently seen a number of shooting incidents. Senior Superintendent Alden Dawson says that the area was not selected just because of the recent shootings.
All our meet and greet is important, and today was just another day selected, randomly selected. We know we had the incident, but we randomly select areas, and then we just go in the different areas. And like I always say, every Wednesday we do this in different area. This week we decided to do it in this area. Not necessarily because of the shooting, but the area was selected prior to this incident. We have a calendar that we do, and then we try to rotate it between precinct 1 area and precinct 2. So this is the reason why we're in this area today.
Senior Superintendent Dawson says that with the recent checkpoint, residents have given them a good feedback.
We continue to get positive feedback from all the residents at a different area, and more so this area because we have since put up a tent. If you notice, we have the tent over that side where we have 2 police posted permanently in the area to try and curb the crime situation in this area. Since the tent have been put up, we haven't got any report out of this area, and we wish we could do it in every area, but because of the manpower, the number, we can't do it in every area that spurs up every so often. But we try to do it in the more vulnerable area. If you notice, this area is a distance away from the nearest police station, so a place like this we do try and put emphasis on it.
The sessions are held every Wednesday. Over 150 children are engaged in a 3-week camp in Belmopan. Correspondent Femcross stopped by and filed this report.
Helping Hands Intervention and Resource Center here in Belmopan is now hosting its 10th annual summer program. This program provides math and language arts. 150 students from preschool to standard 6 are benefiting of this program. Emily Martinez Palazzo, the coordinator, spoke to Love News about this 27 days program.
Helping Hands Resource Center is in its second week of its summer program, and this program does a lot of intervention in several areas. Sometimes it is academics, but also behavioral, because some of the children come with certain attitudes that are not acceptable, and so we intervene in that way to help them, to help in changing the negative attitude that they have. So we find it very important for children to develop holistically. So we have other aspects of the program where we do a field trip, where we do a sports day, so that they can have that comprehensive experience of the camp. I want to thank especially the parents who see the need and the importance of sending their children to the camp, so that they can learn more and so that they can improve on the skills that they have developed. The program has 150 students, and they are lovely children that are willing, that want to learn and want to improve on their skills, and I have excellent teachers. One of the highlights of the program is the volunteers. We have over 7 high school students who voluntarily come in to assist us with the program, and that is the part that brings joy to my heart, because then these young people see the need to get involved in their community, and so the extra hands help us to have individual help for children who need individual help. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank our area representative, Honorable John Saldivar, who is a supporter of this program. He has always assist us with our program, and I would like to thank him in the efforts that he's doing to help us.
This is Brother Fem Cruz reporting from the nation's capital city, Belmopan, for Love FM.
And the police department is bringing their annual youth cadet camp to a close this year. Every year, the police department hosts over 200 children for a fun-filled week. The camp ends this Friday in Orange Walk District at the Trial Farm Government School. Inspector Brent Hamilton is the discipline coordinator, and he told us about the activities.
This year, as every year, we have cadets from all over. And this year, Representative can say we have 300 cadets on camp, starting from earlier this week, Saturday. We start Saturday, we'll be ending Friday this week. And we are happy and we are proud of our program, because we know that our program will deal with a lot of life skills. On the camp, we do one of our great summer component program. We invite a lot of different we partner with other different stakeholders or agencies. They come in, like from the fire service and the traffic department. We have educational trip. We have actually on the camp where we have we do sports amongst each other. We have what we call one of our prestige thing, where we have like a drill competition and so forth. So the camp basically is rigid. It's not a camp where it's on a vacation. We do classes in the morning, and then we do other things in the afternoon.
With over 300 participants, Hamilton says it's a task, but they're proud of the work they are doing. He spoke of the importance of having the camp in a different district every year.
It's a rotational, we try to make the camp goes to different districts so we can understand different culture and the dynamics of how different city work or towns work. So this year we're in Orange Walk, maybe next year we'll be in San Pedro, maybe next year, or maybe whatever. Normally we do an assessment. After the camp, we come back about 2 weeks, and then we vote on where we would like to go. And if it is feasible, can we get a camp? Can we get a school to help us to accommodate us? So we are very thankful of the principal of the government Trial Farm School, who allowed us to let us into their school, and they open up the door. We use the kitchen, the offices, and we take it very rigid because we have to make sure we take care of the place of the people there and so forth. So you have to be safe. You have to make sure you got fence. All that we look at 3 o'clock on Friday, and the ceremony is going to be at the area in front of the City Hall in Orange Walk, the park.
The public is invited to attend the closing ceremony at 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon at the Central Park in Orange Walk Town. Our thought conditioner for today is from Tim Fargo, and it reads, we quote, "Your friends will believe in your potential, your enemies will make you live up to it." This has been the Evening News on Love Television. We invite you to log on to our website at www.lovefm.com for transcripts of our news stories. Thank you for watching. I am Ernesto Vasquez.